All right, good morning. We're going. Okay, welcome. This is a video that's going to describe the first few steps of the Azusa, or my small go-kart build that is in this small engines class here. Let's just get straight into it. There are parts that are somewhat assembled already, but I will go through most of the steps that you see here today. Step one, paint the frame. This was painted already by some other class of mine. This is to protect the metal and the integrity of the go-kart frame that you purchased, and it's in your best interest to paint the frame. So we'll go straight into step two. One of the spindles is already installed. Once again, I'm sorry, step two is installing the spindles. On the right side here of the go-kart, you can see I've got a spindle installed already with a kingpin bolt and nut. And understand that they are supposed to be installed on a specific side. It will matter for the future. So let me just show you the parts that are going to be used in this scenario here. Once again, you've got this kingpin bolt, the nut that goes with it, that's got a lock washer mechanism to it, or a locking mechanism, and then the spindle itself. I am going to be using some tools to help me increase the speed, but it might be slower if you're using manual tools. So the spindle will be inserted into this steering arm or knuckle, whatever you want to call it here on the go-kart. And you will slide the kingpin bolt through that specific spindle. Some of your kits might come with pieces that kind of help the spindle somewhat stay in place. I found that those can sometimes make it a little bit tougher, but you can use those if you want to. I forget the specific term, but they are used to help fill the space so your spindle does not move around as loosely. Anyway, you are going to use a 24mm wrench when you are doing this, and a socket if you need to, but I'm going to use my drill as I cheat here to make this process go a little faster. And you don't want to go too intensely or your spindle will not move at all. You need to be able to turn. The spindle is a large part in your steering, so. All right, I'm okay with it being right there for now, but it might take you a little bit longer if you are going to use manual tools. Step three is going to be assemble the front wheels. I'm going to show you how to assemble one, and I've already got one that's partially assembled over here. It starts with your inner tube, your tire. I believe these are 1.5 inch bolts. I could be wrong. No, they're a little bit longer because it's going to be case by case scenario. If you've got the metal wheels like I have here, they will be longer bolts, but if you've got nylon wheels, they will be shorter. But for now, I'm going to start by putting the inner tube inside the tire. Is kind of the best way to do this that I have found. And being as careful as you can as you do this, you don't want to pinch this inner tube on the latter part of this step because it will kind of create some issues. So I'll just come over here and show you somewhat how I have done this. Perhaps this will help you see, maybe not, I don't know. Let me just check and make sure my video is still going. Looks like it is. But next, I'm going to take my wheels and start to squeeze them in place. And so make sure that you line the opening for the Schrader valve, or the valve where you put air in. It's going to be right there as you do this. And so let me just put one side in. You will need to put it on the Schrader valve on the inside of the wheel, excuse me. Once again, making sure that you don't pinch the little rubber inner tube. As you do this, go to the other side, flip it over. Make sure you line up those holes once again. Look for where the inner tube is, don't pinch it. And then you're going to take your bolts and start to line them through these slots here. I'm going to tighten these down before I blow up the inner tube. Do not blow up the inner tube first, or you will have a very large issue, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Or you won't, excuse me, you won't see what I'm talking about. I am just starting these by hand, these bolts, and then these locking nuts. Once again, we need these to stay in place. We don't want them to fly off as this wheel is moving around with this go-kart functioning. But you're going to use 13s. At least these are 13s on my kit, 13mm sockets and wrenches. I'm going to cheat once again because I like to move a little bit faster right now, but you might just use a wrench and a socket when you do this, depending on what tools are available for you. So being as careful as I can, I'm going to start to squeeze these together, if I can. That's one. Two. Oops, there we go again. Okay, so, oop, there we go. Now I've got my wheel secured together as much as it should be. You can kind of tell from there, but the inner tube is not inflated yet, and so I might have a little bit of a struggle here, but as you do this, you should see the inner tube inflate. I'm going to use my inflator right here. As you do this, you might have a variety of options depending on what you're going to use. Be careful, you do not want to put your fingers right here when you do this while you're inflating the inner tube. You will pinch them, it'll be very painful or it could be seriously damaging. So please be careful when you do this so that does not happen to you. See how this goes? I got lucky. All right, first try. Normally we want to inflate these to about, I believe, 15 PSI if the directions are going to tell you so. Let's see, yeah, at the bottom of step 3 it says inflate the tire to 15 PSI. At this point it should seat properly, tire bead flush with wheel rim, and the wheel halves showing no gap at the center line. So we are good to go here. I'm going to move forward. That was the end of step 3. And so now I'm going to move on to step 4, which is mounting the front wheels. You are going to first use some of these nylon spacers that come with the kit that you can see right here. You will insert them on the spindles first, as long as they want to fit nicely. These ones might need a tiny bit of persuasion. The wheel will probably force it on. This is going to help space out your wheel just enough so it is not too close to the front of your vehicle. Go-kart. Oh my. I'm going to steal another spindle. Or excuse me, spacer. Hopefully this one fits nice. And it does. Perfect. Okay. You will put your wheel on just like this. There should be some bearings there to help them stay in place. And then you're going to have another nut that's almost the same size, it is the same size, 24 millimeter as the one that you use for your kingpin bolt. Just be careful, sometimes the threads can change depending on the kits that you're using. So I'm just going to start this by hand, just like this. And then I'm going to go back in here and cheat again. And I don't want to go too tight or else my wheel will not spin. We want these wheels to spin or your go-kart will not move. Even that's a little too tight probably, so I'm going to back it off a tiny bit. And I could go further than that, but we'll just leave it like that for now. And so I will take my other wheel and I'll do the same thing. This one's not inflated entirely, so I will have to inflate this one again at some point in time. Where's my other piece? Here we go. This one doesn't want to go on as nice. That will happen from time to time. Okay, once again, make sure you have the correct threads because that will give you an issue if you do not use the correct threads. All right, my last parts here. I've got tie rods already somewhat assembled, but these will be adjustable, and that's going to be kind of important. Make sure that these locking nuts on these tie rods move nice and freely to begin with. And also it's going to be kind of good that these parts in your tie rods move a little bit freely to the little end pieces that are going to allow for these bolts and nuts to fit through them. Once again, we've got some more locking nuts that you see here. And choose the correct size bolts that are given with you on your kit or for you because you'll run out if you use the wrong ones, or you'll have to go back and take off the incorrect ones. Follow the directions as a specific size, because it kind of changes kit by kit. It's kind of the way it works here. Your tie rods will insert on your spindles, just like you see here, and it will be more important once we get the steering shaft in here. That'll be on the next video. But for now, you can just slip your, hopefully I don't lose that. Yeah. All right, we're back. They should slip on top, just kind of like you see right here. And I'm just going to cheat once again with my tools that I've been using. And when we get to the next video, follow closely. It will be more important as far as the distance that each are set at and how they are kind of set up so that you do this correctly, so you don't have to take steps back as you move forward. I'm going to switch back to my 13 at this point in time, like we see right here. A little bit of cheating once again to make sure this works all nice. That's in place as it should be. And this one should be in place as it should be. And it's important that these are tight, or tight enough. You don't want to be steering, depending on how some of you are going to be building this out there. If you're going very fast, and if these fall off, there goes your steering, and that can be a very dangerous situation. But those are the only steps I'm going to go through today. Those were steps essentially 1 through 5, which is installing the spindles that we did. Then we assembled the front wheels, which was step 3. Step 4 was mounting the front wheels, and step 5 was assembling and installing the tie rods. We will go to the next step in the next video, and I will have more for you at that point in time. But thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day.